Welcome to the PR Bunker Podcast. This is your host, Don Martelli, CEO of the PR Bunker. I am here with a longtime friend of mine. In fact, somebody who I've tried to hire 9,000 times over, but she keeps saying no because she's too darn talented and is going to do her own thing. But Kate Campbell, welcome to the PR Bunker Podcast. It's so good to have you on here with me today to talk about all things marketing communications and a little bit of Revere kid, maybe a little roast beef from Kelly's, but we'll get to that in a second. But thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Don, and thanks for that intro. And it's so funny to be called Caitlin Campbell because I feel that I've been Kate Campbell for so long, but I'm surprised you didn't drop my maiden name in there and call me Caitlin Duravo.
That's right. Well, the sidebar here, I had an oil tank issue in my home. And there's a lovely, joyful, wonderful young man by the name of Big Jim. And this is Kate's dad. And Jim came in, saved my ass, took care of the oil tank, and it was a wonderful experience. And that's how Kate and I got to be friends. And to this point, I see Jim in the community in Revere here, which is a community just north of Boston, an urban community. I see Jim from time to time. So Big Jim's got a nice place in my heart, and I'm glad that, oddly enough, an oil tank brought us together, and here we are.
Yes, and I've been very grateful for, even though we've never worked together, Don, you always pick up my call.
Not yet. We will.
My job. You've always helped out in being a mentor, so I'm very happy to be on the PR Bunker and drop the R's.
That's right.
And tell you about what we call drumbeat marketing. But to take it back, I have been in agency life for my entire career. Started at a small shop called Topaz Partners, then jumped and spent a decade, which isn't always heard of, at PN Communications. Was there when it was 45 people in Andover in the burbs. When I finally left, it was 5 offices, global, really 150 people. I lived in San Francisco for PN, really developed all these different things and loved that experience. And then one of my favorite clients, Dine, went off and spun into, after they were acquired by Oracle, spun into York.ie and asked me to join to be VP of Advisory Services. And now I am VP of Marketing Communications. And what I do is I help startups with marketing, from everything from content all the way to something we call drumbeat marketing, as well as lead a team here and freelancers, an entire bench. But York.ie is a strategic investment firm. Not only do we invest in early stage startups, we're also running an advisory services practice that we're able to help startups where they're at in 3 different areas, whether it's go-to-market strategy, which I'm part of, finance, and then product dev. We're at about 140 employees now, a huge India office that helps with all that dev, and we're touching about 100 startups, whether it's through the investment or through the advisory services. And we're based up in Manchester, New Hampshire, but we do have offices in Portland, Boston, and Canada.
That's great. I mean, I think, one, you undersold your skill set and how quickly you got to where you are now, not to mention managing and locking things down on the home front with your lovely children who will eventually be teenagers and be a pain in your ass. But you've managed that side of your life very, very handily, by the way. So don't undersell your skills there. But applause to you, Mom, and your boss, York.ie. I think the model is so freaking interesting. The investment side, the advisory side, the execution side, it's really allowed me to think through the different dynamics of how agencies have changed and will continue to change moving forward. And the old model is still relevant, but there's significant changes happening that you and I have spoken about for months and months and months. And it's good to see the stuff I'm doing, the stuff that you're doing in particular, is really just giving some food for thought about how agencies model themselves and do the work. And which gets me to one of my first questions here. I'm all about storytelling, crisis communications, PR, but PR is a lot different than it was when I was a cub reporter for the Boston Globe. And I think that times have changed in terms of how clients tell their story and how they put action around it. And from your perspective, staying in that lane and that thread for some time and finding effective ways to market and build the brand, how do you find this work to aid in the long-term sustainability and resilience for businesses? I mean, it's a slog. I mean, we are up against the wall every single day. How have you been able to manage with your clients in the particular phase to fight through that resiliency and create that sustainability?
I love that question on so many levels because it is hard. And The agency model is not made for startups. And I think that you and I are able to work with budgets that aren't breaking the bank, but at the end of the day, that you need to do marketing, that you need to story tell, but sometimes you don't have the funds to do that. So what do you do? And that's where we lean into something called drumbeat marketing. And it's like, all right, we need to start with a strong message. And what that really is, Dawn, it's that storytelling. Like, why are you here? How are you going to make yourself stand apart and be different than everyone else who is out there? Like, the past, what would you say, 18 months has all been about AI. If you go out there and you slap AI on your startup, you're just the same as everyone else. You need to be able to tell your story. So now that you have that story and it's unique and you're saying why you're different than what's out there in the market, you then need to do it as a discipline and be consistent about it. You have to be out there every day. And that, when you look at the agency model, you're going to have to pay for that. Or it's building it into your day. It's putting it on LinkedIn. It's becoming a trusted voice. It's partnering with good folks. It's creating content that is like for long term. That way you're building the brand every day.
And I think that's all true. And I think that this dynamic is going to continue to morph and mold as the days and hours go along. The one thing that I think is always up against us a little bit here is just how the audience reacts to what we're doing, right? Because this is not, you have children, you get this, right? You sit at the table, eat your broccoli. I'm going to force feed you this broccoli and you're going to eat it whether you like it or not. Well, you know what? I think consumers have gotten wicked smart, kid. And they understand when they're being force-fed messaging and when we're telling them what to do versus creating creative journeys that give people options and allow them to think through those decisions. And you're just helping to guide them in a very loose way. Talk to me about your thought process around audience behavior and what's going on in the market and how that's leveled up the importance of what we do from just storytelling perspective, marketing and brand building as that strategic investment.
So one of the things is that you need to tell your story until you're blue in the face. And Don, I don't know if you talk politics on this podcast, but how many hands did you have to shake to get the votes that you needed?
Kissed a lot of babies. And so for those of you who don't know, I ran for office last year and came about 800 votes short of getting in. But a lot of baby kissing, a lot of handshaking, ribbon cutting. But it's networking on crack, if you will.
Exactly, because you need to win that vote. You need to win that trust. And what you need to do is you need to say your story over and over again. And I will guarantee you, it is not until you're sick of hearing yourself in your story that's when it starts to resonate with your audience. So you need to know where your audience is. And you can't just go and do a sales pitch to them. You need to really educate them, bring some value in the content that you're providing, and keep at it. I can't even explain how many people will DM me or send me a message or text me and be like, I love everything you're saying on LinkedIn and that you're out there. But it's not always that visible. It's like the grind that you need to do every day to educate that audience and test and see what's going to work for that audience and be top of mind for them when they are ready to buy.
Yeah, it's critical. I mean, and especially in a world where you are literally being threatened by a left swipe or a right swipe within seconds or milliseconds. So, I mean, speak to me about just sort of the fast-paced world that we now live in, and how do you stay on top of that thread? Because you don't have one client. You probably have dozens of clients. And staying on top of what's going on in their world, what's going on in our world in terms of new technology, new platforms, the advancement of those platforms. I mean, what's that bunker like for you? How do you stay on top of this shit, and how do you inform your clients about moving the needle?
Okay, great questions, because honestly, sitting at a strategic investment firm, I'm seeing the technology that's going to be the future in 10 years. It's so exciting, but that means I also need to learn and be on top of the trends. And that's a lot of like digging in and playing with some of the stuff out there. Like Chat GPT does not scare me. I need to like learn how to use it to make my job more efficient. That's digging into it. As a startup, how do you get ahead of like the trends? It's by listening to what's out there. It's by creating workflows that really inform you of what's going on in the market beyond the competitors, but also like, what are those leaders that you aspire to be doing? And like, honestly, it's a lot of setting up your stream. Like my LinkedIn is my stream. My Instagram, sometimes when it comes to parenting tips, that's my stream. It's always constantly learning so that I am at the top and understanding like what is going on. The other thing that I do on a personal level is connect to VP of marketing. It's like, what's going on in your world? We're doing less. We're doing more with less. How are you approaching that? What are you doing? And I have a great like first marketers club every Friday, the first Friday of the month. It's a Zoom and it's a safe place. It's good to exchange and everyone's sharing tips and how they're getting ahead. And it's also giving me a pulse on the market. So budgets are cut, teams are slashed. What do you do? And I'm learning hands-on what my other peers are doing, and I'm creating programs that will help them and supplement it.
That's great. And I think that there's a knock on our business that my little corner of this world is my little corner of the world, and I'm not going to share. I'm that kid in the playground that's not going to share my toys with you. But I think that as you dig deeper into our community in public relations marketing, there are people willing to give you free advice. Case in point, I'm working with a national nonprofit, and I got some decent media opportunities for them that are percolating, but I was looking for a mind hive to kind of level up the ideation. And you connected me to a Slack network, which was great, and I was been sleeping on it because I just didn't know it existed. So now that I'm involved, yeah, TCN.
Always give a shout out for that.
Love it, right? So now that I'm involved in it, I use it as a mind hive today, and I automatically you've got a half a dozen ideas. And I'm like, oh shit, I never thought about this stuff. And the willingness to share in that kind of time frame is wonderful, and kind of leads me to my next question about like. A statement first and then the question. So I feel like our space is very emblematic of what happened with the Industrial Revolution. And here's what I mean. For years, people were making stuff, right? You had our grandfathers on the front lines, hammering things together and making some shit. Over time, technology came along and sped that process up and changed those jobs. Those jobs were gone, but new jobs were created. And I think the same thing in this sort of content revolution is happening in our business where beautiful AI, ChatGPT, go down the line. There's these tools that are allowing us to literally speed up by milliseconds the production time for holding statements, talking points, ideation, whatever we need to create to kind of launch these campaigns is being sped up. And I think that while we aren't technically technologists, you have to be somewhat of a technologist because otherwise your job will be replaced. It's still about the story and communication and getting people to shit it off the pot, right? This is all action-oriented marketing. But generally, we need to be faster, and these tools can help us do that. So talk to me about, like, where do you see your role, York.ie, flowing into this new reality that is technology, speed, but at the same time doing it in a way that is not just like, here's your broccoli, eat it, kid, but like genuine, authentic, and gets people thinking and talking to take that action you eventually want them to take, but it may take a little bit longer, but you're embracing these new technologies in a way that allows for better workflows and more efficient communications and action with your audiences you're targeting.
You almost answered your entire question.
I know. I have a bad habit of doing that.
But what I'll tell you is that people who are not embracing AI in the way that it does make your job faster are going to lose out. And think of it this way. Dawn, you wrote for the Globe. I would cut out the Globe articles that I got for Pegasystems back in like 2010 and put it into a clip book. And then the win back in that day was how thick that thud was on the PR coverage. We've evolved since then. No one is cutting clips. So when you think of a tool that's out there that is going to be able to aid you, why would you not take advantage of it? Like if something's going to give you an extra tip, like you use it and like it checks your work or it lists out something, it's going to be something that you haven't thought of. That being said, you can't put all your eggs in that basket. Just like how many measurement platforms did we see in the past 10 years that were trying to measure the value of PR?
Yeah.
You still had to do the analysis of it. So when you look at these tools, it's great that we're living in this time that we have them, but that doesn't replace what you're supposed to do or the value that you're supposed to add on it. So it's always like, take it for what it is, but then make sure that it like adds to your skill set, not just makes you. And the thing that I think will challenge us as marketers and content and all of that is that you can't if everyone's writing on Chat GPT or like doing the keyboard stuffing of the back in the day when SEO was the thing that you needed, then all the content's going to be, Google's not going to read it. So it goes back to that story and having that unique point of view, because if you're using all the tools and you're not being unique, then you're going to just sound like everyone else.
Yep. We'll be robots. We'll be the Matrix. I think what I find amazing or interesting about this entire thing is that there's a crop of professionals that will be growing up in this space where what we just described is their basement. Now think about that, right? And when they're in their early mid-30s, mid-40s, or in my old age, 50, there'll be some shit going on in our space that we have yet to even conceive that's going to be this new topic. So the part of the reason why I love what we do is just the fact that we're always going to be on this edge. There's always this little edginess to it. And I think that those that don't adapt die. And I think that you're seeing that in the agency model in some way, shape, or form. You're seeing that with solo practitioners, the collaboration. And a lot of the folks that you and I worked with in our own agency worlds going back in the days are now on the client side who understand the game of agencies and understand that it's okay to use these tools and to have very efficient meetings for 15 to 20 minutes or 30 minutes, not have a 3-hour onboarding session. Like, they want to get to the work and get results. And it's amazing how everything in our world has stayed the same when it comes to storytelling and getting people to take action. It's just hyper fast, super analyzed, and we have these tools to kind of speed things up. But this still takes the heart of marketing is still coming out of the human body. And I think that's one thing that we tend to overlook at times.
Well, people still want to buy from people.
Yeah.
And that's what I think you can have all the tools you want. You can have all the shortcuts and the speed, but at the end of the day, you still have to have that story and that face to what you're doing. And I think that's where I will say this year, I've noticed everyone kind of looking at who their leaders are in their organization and doubling down on, you need to be out there and telling our story as well.
Agreed.
And there's been a whole shift to content that is targeted from the person and going out there versus like the old playbooks of SaaS that used to be like, here's an ebook. Like, does that still work? Yes.
Yeah.
Do you need to find another route to deliver that, to just have a distribution that is not your typical because everyone has that playbook? Yes. And that's really like, when I think about what I want to focus on this year, it's making sure that everyone is building the brand and you're giving that education and you're giving that like face that you want to buy from. Yep.
And I think it's what's interesting about the PR space, at least, it's come full circle. It's back again in this. PR is a third-party validator for all the things you're being force-fed through advertising and marketing and everything else. And that's what PR used to be, because this is before social media and the web existed, and then any form of messaging was either through traditional, the 5-inch thick Boston Sunday Globe and TV stations and everything else. So I think it's come full circle where PR is now important again. It's critical again, and it's middle, upper funnel, third-party validation that ties to some of the things that you really smart people do on the digital marketing side. And but still at the core of it, still storytelling, which I think is pretty cool. And you kind of touched upon this at the end of your last statement, but every time I talk to you, you're always working on some new shit. You're doing some new things, whether it be family-wise or work-wise. What is next for you professionally, York.ie? What are you excited about in the next month, 2, 6, 12?
Oh, that is such a good question, because like you said, it's like, which chapter or which version of Kate do you want? Personally, growth-wise, I am pushing myself out of my comfort zone, and I started a podcast this year. It has been so much fun. So it's the Don't Be a Sass podcast that you can get on Spotify, and it's like really putting myself out there like I've never done before. So that's definitely the personal one. For York.ie, it's drumbeat marketing has worked. It's great with the consistency, I did a customer call this week just to get a quote for future sales and stuff. And everything the person was saying was gold. And it's exactly what you want your customers to say about you. The challenge that I am really focused on this year is, how do you take it to the next level? So for drumbeat, it's like, how do you start experimenting and doing growth marketing without any of the fake buzz that is around growth? But how do you take content that you already have, put some paid behind it, experiment with it, splice and dice it? How do you take it to the next level, especially with these startups that are still budget conscious? I want to basically take the foundation that we've built and add to it. So our programs this year, we're really focused on getting into growth marketing. We have a RevOps arm of our business that's really going into HubSpot, making sure that the buyer journey for that company works and the CRM mapping, all of that. And it's incredible to watch. And I'm really lucky that I have such a talented team. And then lastly, like as an organization, we're just continuing to brand build and let people know what we're doing and like how we're different. And it's really resonating with other VCs, with the startup community. And I feel like this will be my 4th year coming into York. I feel like we're just getting started, and that's amazing. And like, we have some of the proof points that we're like, this is working, this is resonating.
Yeah. I feel like every time I talk to you, it's like day 2 of the job. There's always something new going on.
I have that excitement. And I started in the pandemic in my living room when my first child was only like 14 months and just throwing balls at her as I'm on new client calls. But this job has given me so many personal and professional challenges to make myself a better marketer that I am forever grateful.
That's great. I love it. I remember when you and I first connected after you made the move, and I thought, what is this guy? What are you guys doing over there? What's a York? What's an IE? I'm like, oh, this. But I think that's the growth from my vantage point has been impressive, incredible. But I think it was kind of expected because I just know what kind of a beast mode you are in those environments. So kudos to you for getting the team there and being a key part of the growth of that part of their business. But good stuff. So I want to pivot real quick to some fun stuff. Yeah. So outside of work and managing the kids, everything else, what's any hobbies, interests, stuff that you feel that is either so left the field of what you do professionally, or anything you want to share in terms of like what drives you to be creative and other hobbies and passions you have outside of work?
What's funny is like, you're always like, what is your hobby?
Yeah.
So like, with this question, but really I realized that I get all of my energy around like being around other people. So I don't like post like how much my husband and I and the kids do on the weekends, but we're always constantly like trying to see people or be involved we live in Burlington, be involved in the community, do the kid activities. But like, I think that I get so much joy and so much energy from like seeing friends and family that like, it's so abnormal for me to have like a day off where you do nothing. And I'm trying to be like, no, your body probably needs a rest. But honestly, like my happiest moments are like on my parents, like at my parents' house with like the entire family, like in the living room and laughing. So like my schedule is always like, all right, what 3 things are we going to do today? And I didn't know that was abnormal until recently, when people can only handle like 1. And I'm like, oh, well, of course we're going to do this and this and this. And I mean, now that we have 2 kids in 2 full-time jobs, it's like, maybe we do slow down. And we have a place up in Maine that is like our heaven. And we definitely,
cool.
That is our refresh. And that is when I like bang out reading books.
Yep.
And that is what I'm passionate about. Like I crush the book reading.
Nice.
And it does influence. I love reading.
What are you reading now?
I just opened up Kara Swisser's Burn book, and I'm so excited about it. I just haven't had time to read it, but that's like,
nice.
I'm a better person when I have like books that I'm reading versus like scrolling on Instagram, because that does nothing for anyone.
Frankly, I wish I had the attention span to read more than 300 words at a time, and I'm forcing myself to do so. And what I've learned is that I can, when I'm taking the dog for a walk down the beach, whatever it is, I'll just throw the book on audio and just listen. It just really suits my need, but I need to get more into that. So that's good stuff. How about, good question I love asking you. You have dinner with 3 people, living or dead. Who would they be and why?
Honestly, it's like, I would love to bring back family and like ask the questions that I wish I asked when they were living. Just like, how was it like when you were alive? Like, how were you a working mom? How did you handle this? Like, I find myself asking family members like already like past questions, because like that's a different person than today.
Yeah.
So it would be that, no one famous, like PR focused.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like that one I was stumped on.
Yeah, got it. Oh, good. I have the same kind of vibe. It's going to be my old man and grandfather and close friends and family. I mean, it'd be nice, kind of cool to sit down with like John Lennon and Jimi Hendrix and stuff like that. But I'd rather spend more time with my old man and talking about the time that all the foolish things he did as a kid, and which molded me to be a good kid. So,
yeah, you start to understand why you act the way you are
Yep.
when you look at like the generations before you and some of the things that like you do. It's like because your grandparents did it and you don't realize. So, and I'm always like trying to figure people out. So I start asking their backstory.
2 more questions for you. Next one is fun, but also personal. When you describe to people what you do that have no idea what we do, How do you do that? Because I got people in my family, how's the Globe? I'm like, dude, I haven't written for the Boston Globe since like 1997. Okay, it's like eons ago. So what's that like at the family reunion dinner table? Like, oh, Kate, how's the advertising business? What do you say?
Oh, exactly. So it's so funny because I think I wear multiple hats, like professionally. And I had this when I was like on a play date, and they're like, "Oh, what do you do?" And I was just like, "Oh, marketing for startups," because it's so vague. And in the PR world, I would try to explain it to folks, being like, "Okay, how you watch the news or you see an article." We're the people that put that article together by giving the reporter sources. And so I do the vague, like, oh, I do marketing, just because if I really got into the nuances of, I work at a strategic investment firm that funds startups, as well as I turn around and work with each startup and help them with marketing, I would have lost the person. So I try to keep it as high level as possible. But then I'll get my dad, who will pull someone at the bar. They do marketing too. And it's like a salesperson. And I'm like, yes, Dad, I don't do that, but sure, I'll take your business card.
So I tell people, I want you to watch 4 things. 1, Wolf of Wall Street. 2, Spotlight. 3, Mad Men, and then the movie Newsroom. That's my career in a nutshell. And people are like, what do you mean? I'm like, just watch the damn movies and come back to me in 3 days. It's just so damn hard to. And the other way I boil it down is like, I help organizations talk more clearly and concisely to the audiences they want to shit or get off the pot. And how do I do that? Well, when you're scrolling through Instagram, oh, this is kind of cool. That's a nice little pair of pants. Let me just buy that. Well, somebody in a conference room said, hey, look, Don Martelli's sitting on his ass one day on his couch drooling on himself, needs a new pair of sweatpants. And as he's going through Instagram, this is going to catch his eye because it's for those dudes that are 6'2", 250, but they look like they're slim, so he's going to buy them. So it's just, I think it's just that level of creativity and trying to get people to understand what we do. But I think it's one of those things where I love talking to folks that are in the business because, like, it's a weird club that we belong to, and we get the analogies, we get the language, but I like the club. I like the club on this side.
I do, and I love talking. This has been the most rewarding. Yep. This year was like really, put myself out of my comfort zone and started. I'm doing a series of like spotlighting the marketers because like we're so good at telling other people's story. That I really want to give a chance for these marketers to tell their story.
It's fun.
And I wanted to get out of the Boston, like New England framework, or people who don't know York, don't know Pan, and so I've been reaching out, and it's been such enlightening conversations. And it's people I would never have come across. Mm-hmm. And it's like when you meet one-on-one and you're talking, and it's like incredible, that connection, because you have marketing, but you can go so far into the weeds and then kind of go through, and it's been rewarding. That's how I'm learning, to be honest. From like all these marketers who are being so smart in a very lean year. Mm-hmm. How are we all going to do it? How are we all going to survive to the next quarter?
So last question. This is a really hard-hitting question that may stump you. Okay. It's really a statement first, and then I want you to kind of get into details.
Is it a statement that you're going to answer your own question?
No. I'm gonna give you a little bit of a runway first, and you can answer it. What is the obsession with people in our region with roast beef sandwiches? And 2, how do you take your roast beef?
Oh, I mean, I am following it all on Instagram. I'm my best friend's husband and I go back and forth sharing the Instagrams about roast beef. I have no idea, and it's such a North Shore thing that like my husband, like I think where he's from is South Shore. It's not. It's Metro West. There you go, Chris. It's recorded that I said Walpole is not Metro West.
I think anything below Quincy is the Midwest.
Anything below the Pike.
Yep.
To be honest. But we're obsessed. But have you ever had anything better than like a roast beef sandwich? And I do not do the barbecue sauce. I am roast beef, mayo, cheese, and depending on the pickles, sometimes pickles. And my dad, God bless him, he knows our family so well. Growing up, he would just get 3 of the same for his kids. There was no fighting. There was no choices. Like I laugh at my daughters who get choices every day for lunch. And my father would just always show up with like 5 of the same sandwiches, and that was dinner.
There you go. So for those of you that don't really know what the hell we're talking about, so Kate grew up, and I currently live for the last 25, 26 years in a community called Revere, Massachusetts. Revere is literally just north of Boston, and one of the kind of famous places in the city is on the country's very first public beach, and it's called Kelly's Roast Beef. And Kelly's Roast Beef, regardless if it's 9,000 degrees out or 9,000 below, there are people literally lined up to go buy these massive, these massive roast beef sandwiches, which is basically sliced beef with cheese, whatever else you want on it, French fries, onion rings, scallops, whatever you want. And you actually probably need to do a credit check and fill out some financial forms to buy this stuff because it's all so damn expensive, but it's so worth it. It's so damn good, especially when you haven't had it in a while. But so when you get a chance, for those of you outside of New England, love to get your comments on where you get your roast beef. But if you don't know what Kelly's is all about and you do come to New England, come to Revere, kid, and I'll take you to Kelly's.
I mean, I think off the air, you're going to tell me what your top one is because now that...
Yeah, look, I mean, I do not discriminate when it comes to roast beef.
Kelly's is a little bit PE backed now. You know?
It is. But I mean, just sometimes you're hankering for beef, and it's literally right down the street. So I go to Kelly's, kid. I'll grab it. So I appreciate the time. Where can people learn more about you, about York, and all the things you're doing there?
Sure, you can give me a follow at LinkedIn. It's Caitlin Campbell or Kate Campbell. But then also check out our website, which will be updated soon. It's York.ie, which has a funny story of why we have the .ie. And then we're on every other platform that you could find, and I'm happy to connect. And I can't wait for the day that we do work on some projects.
Hell yeah.
Together.
We will. So thank you for the time and for the friendship and the insights and the encouragement and all that kind of good stuff. Congratulations on your early success, mid success, and everything that's going to come your way, because I know you're going to earn it because you're Jim's daughter, and Jim's a worker, you're a worker, and I'm sure that your mom had a really big role in that as well. So appreciate the time. Thank you all for joining us on the PR Bunker podcast. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I apologize for the Revere kid and the F-bombs here and there, but that's just how we roll in the North Shore here. But Kate, appreciate the time. Again, appreciate the friendship, and I thank you all for listening in. Don't forget to subscribe, share this with friends, tag us, do all that kind of good social stuff, what all the cool kids do. But appreciate the time, and enjoy the rest of your day, my friend.
Sounds good. Thanks, Don.